Sunday afternoon has become a little bit of a potluck day for us, John. Sometimes we're doing Web of Deception. Sometimes we're doing assassination investigation specials. We've got something unbelievable, frankly unprecedented today. I don't know that we've ever had, maybe once before, Larry Klayman got some documents, remember, from Mueller. But that was Larry. I did this all myself. I've never really successfully done a Freedom of Information Act request. By the way, how are you today, John?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. I want to make sure the audience understands what it is that you got, sort of the before and after, because this is mega, and this is exactly the kind of thing that they hate. It's like, this is the stuff they're trying to hide.
Yeah.
And we're about to shine a light on it. And, they carried Julian Assange out of the Ecuadorian embassy for this type of stuff, except he was coming in through a back door. You're doing it all the legit way. And that's why they're like, back at Langley, back at Fort Meade. They're losing their minds right now. In fact, they're probably watching this show and everybody's sitting there trying to push a red button, and there's no red buttons to push because it's all legit.
Exactly.
And so that's what makes it so much fun. This is journalism. Journalism is when we're holding to account the government and their agencies, and when they lie to the public, being able to figure out how they're lying, why they're lying, and show the audience how you're able to figure this out, what the process was to go from, we were all looking at the same redacted crap for weeks, and now that's about to change. So why don't you tell everybody what the hell happened here? How'd you do this?
Well, you remember when Chuck Grassley, he got a release pretty early, and he had this after-action report which showed the maps, and I don't know why they needed to redact this stuff. I mean, these are cops who are supposed to be in their kind of like official locations there, but they wouldn't tell us who it was. They wouldn't tell us who was responsible. I mean, a lot of people feel like these individuals might even be suspects in a crime. Sorry, I got to turn off this enable scrolling. For some reason, there's certain tools that create PDFs in a very annoying way. But we can see that there's a lot of information on this redacted. And so if you're trying to actually figure out what's going on, I don't understand why in the process of Freedom of Information Act or right to know requests, I don't know why the police retain the right to block out the most important information that you actually want to know. It's more like the right for them to tell us whatever they want us to know. Doesn't seem to be right. But
right.
I had written, actually before I wrote to them, you remember when I was talking to Detective Young. He's the head of this Beaver County ESU. That's the Emergency Services Unit that brings together the SWAT team and emergency medical technicians and a variety of different resources, because this is a part of the country where the individual municipalities maybe don't have the tax base or the resources to have very hugely capable police departments. So it's this inter-county, inter-agency thing. And first I was dealing with the Butler Police, went through a bunch of stuff with them where I need to go back and check my request with them, because I said something in there that triggered them to say, oh no, you want to talk to the Beaver County District Attorney. Now remember, if people heard me on the phone the other day with the 14th Precinct, the second I digressed from my main subject that I wanted to speak to the detective about and mentioned that I had an issue with an officer in the lobby of the precinct, he immediately said, oh, let me connect you to the supervisor, click, because he wanted to hang up the phone, end the trail of whatever I was starting, and send me somewhere else. I now detect that the Butler Police might have done something similar. I asked, let me show you here what I asked for, and this might inform us as to what was going on. So they told me that I needed to deal with the right to know officer in the Beaver County District Attorney's office, which is in the courthouse building. This letter was sent July 29th, and I said, dear detective, or maybe it should be lieutenant detective, whatever, but she's a lieutenant and a detective, Bonnie Oh, no, yeah, that's her title. I got it from up there. Sedlak is this person's name, and it said, "Thank you for speaking with me just now. I'm writing in regard to the photograph we discussed, apparently taken by a member of the Beaver County ESU SWAT team on the roof of American Glass Research on July 13th, 2024. The photo is of a deceased suspect, reported to be Thomas Crooks, but suspected to be Maxwell Yerrick." Now, maybe this wasn't so smart of me to sort of like tell the police everything I know about. I mean, this is a crime we suspect them of being involved in, and I'm doing this on purpose. I want them to know what I know. I don't have any kind of like secret stuff here that nobody else has, where if they kill me, stories are going to go away. I don't operate like that. And anyway, I told her all about this, and I said that the photo in question is alleged to have been taken by a SWAT officer with his personal or department-issued mobile phone camera, which appears to be an Apple iPhone, unknown model. A SWAT officer, and by the way, it appears to be an Apple iPhone because all the captures of text messages that they've sent us are clearly coming from iPhones. And they're saying it's the same officers. They show the pictures in the phone. It's an iPhone. All right. So the other thing I'm telling her is that a SWAT officer recorded on the body cam footage released by Senator Chuck Grassley can be seen scrolling through the phone, and the picture in question, in addition to other similar pictures likely taken at the same time, can be clearly seen very small on the screen of the officer's phone. And as a matter of fact, with what we know now, we might know who that officer is. We're going to go back and look at that video during the sponsor exclusive segment. So this is what I mean. We're going to really advance the investigation here with this police evidence that we've got. This right to know request concerns the original photographs and metadata related to those photographs as recorded on the officer's phone. I am a former cinematographer and stereoscopic visual effects expert with 39 years of traditional and digital photo manipulation expertise. I have evaluated a version of the photo allegedly taken by the Beaver County ESU SWAT officer and leaked to the internet on or around July 14th, 2024. My expertise tells me that the leaked photo has been manipulated. The image of the deceased suspect's ear exhibits artifacts and other anomalies that suggest it may have been digitally altered. Although it is difficult to discern the actual iPhone model being held by the officer, oh right, you can see he's holding an iPhone, in the body cam footage, its overall shape indicates it is at least an iPhone X released in 2017. Even if the officer used the lowest resolution settings, I would expect an image of at least 2048 by 1536 resolution. The leaked photo was 1200 by 901. The 901 dimension is extremely odd, and it is completely non-standard resolution. I suspect this resulted from an inexperienced Photoshop user cropping a larger image with the crop tool set to inches rather than pixels. When a very high-resolution image is cropped and inches are prioritized, pixels are mathematically averaged to achieve the proper size. If the pixel height of a photograph cropped to 4:3 aspect ratio is not evenly divisible by 3, an odd-numbered resolution will occur just like this. I observe and correct for that odd-even issue daily. This is not a question. This can be reproduced repeatedly.
Right. It's math.
Right?
It's math.
This is a scientific forensic evaluation of the nonsense
Absolutely.
the police have given us. Additionally, heavy JPEG artifacts can be seen in the leaked photo, far greater than what would be present in a photo taken directly out of the phone. Issuing a heavily compressed leaked photo replete with JPEG artifacts would reduce an expert's ability to do proper forensic analysis of the image and would hide many errors often introduced in photo retouching. I should have said manipulation. The final step is almost like adding a layer of dirt on top of a printed paper photograph. It would obscure the errors. Lastly, one accidentally unredacted frame in the body camera footage released to Chuck Grassley's office reveals the dead suspect's ear. And although the body cam extracted screen capture is somewhat low resolution, the suspect's ear does not appear to match the very distinctively shaped ear in the leaked photo. The allegedly retouched ear shown in the leaked photo matches the distinct ear shape seen in some photos of the known subject.
Don't show the dead body. Don't show the dead face. Don't show the dead face.
Good memory there.
Sorry to jump.
No, thank you for reminding me, because I was about to show it.
Yeah, I don't want
Please provide any and all photographs, including body camera video and photos or videos recorded on privately owned or department-issued mobile phones or other recording devices from all Beaver County SWAT ESU members taken on July 13th, 2024, and relevant to the assassination attempt against former U.S. President Donald Trump or related activity at American Glass Research, the address. If you require any additional information to fulfill, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, I present the photo, 1200 by 901, photograph leaked to the internet shortly after July 13th. So that was the letter.
Right.
What do you think of that?
I think it's awesome. Now, did they send you that the thumb drive was the reaction to this? Is that what happened? No.
Actually, you know what? I should have prepared these phone calls, but I didn't. I could play those at another time. But I actually had several phone calls over there to the district attorney's office, one to Detective Sedlak. And first, she was very interested in speaking with me. But I basically said all of this to her in a phone call. And sort of when I got to this part, she was kind of like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And like the phone call ended. And I didn't really put it together at that moment. But and we don't know, it's important for people to remember, we don't know exactly what happened. We've got a lot of evidence. We've got a lot of hypotheses that we're developing, but I don't know what happened. I think the police that were stationed at American Glass Research had something to do with the assassination attempt. And if I'm correct, telling them all of this stuff would probably make them want to make it harder for me to understand what's going on. You can't hear? You lost sound?
We lost your audio.
My audio
back.
Weird.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened. I mean, I'm just saying,
okay.
If the police did have something to do with this, and I'm there telling them about all this stuff that I know about it, I don't think they're going to, they're not going to like that.
Right. No,
so they did nothing. They did nothing. And I was calling and calling and calling, and she just wouldn't answer, no response to further emails. And so then, 1 month after that letter, they sent me this. This letter, I got an email. I called the district attorney's office because I was like, what the hell is going on? There was some other release. When Tom Fitton had his release, I said, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? I sent that letter weeks ago, nothing. Tom Fitton has his. And so I said, let me forget about this Bonnie Sedlak. She's not being responsive. I'm going to call the district attorney and be like, hey, what's up? So I looked up the whole Pennsylvania Right to Know Act. And I mean, look, I'm not a lawyer. And, when you look up laws, anybody can read it. You just look it up and it tells you what the law is. And, you can read the thing. You can read the actual, here it is. Read the law.
What do they say? They say ignorance of the law is no excuse, meaning they expect you to know this stuff. It's like,
right? You have to get it to do anything.
Right.
Because basically what she was doing was ignoring me. And so if I had done nothing, then that would have gone on forever. But so I started reading this thing and it said that when you send them, the first thing I found out was that you got to send them a formal letter. Maybe she told me that on the phone. So then I sent the letter. Then I was like, what the hell is going on? Then I looked this thing up and it said they have 5 days to respond to the letter. And because they didn't respond to the letter, then I said, now I'm going to sue them because they're failing to do that. And I was like, this is what Tom Fitton is talking about, suing people for FOIA. And I also was reminded of Larry, because remember what Larry used to always say about Tom Fitton? He's like, now he's getting documents. Big deal. So what? What are you going to do with those documents? And he's actually right. It's not that big a deal. You don't need a whole law firm. This is not legal advice. But I was able to exercise my rights under the Pennsylvania Right to Know Act, just as a pro se, by reading this thing. And then I called and I said, not Bonnie Sedlicek, not the detective. I said, hey, district attorney or assistant district attorney. I said, look, I've been communicating with this detective. Here's what I've done so far. I'm reading this thing. It said she had 5 days. It's been 30 days. Obviously, the next step is a lawsuit. I'd prefer to avoid that. And she sort of like sighed on the phone in a way that didn't indicate that she was sick of talking to me. I realized later that I'm probably talking to the person who's going to have to respond to my whole lawsuit. And she's thinking, right. Bonnie, what the hell are you doing? Send this guy his stuff. So then I got that letter the next day and I got the thumb drive. And see, John, you actually figured this out on Vegas because you see, well, I mean, we get these documents from FOIA and we figure, well, that's it, right? The cops sent us, that's the document. But you found tons of mistakes in the redactions of the Vegas stuff. Broken window, no broken window. People need to go back and watch all the Vegas stuff.
Joanne and Laura. Katie, Joanne and Laura, the zip line. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So see, your discovery, and it makes sense. It's just the kind of thing that regular people don't think about because when you're working at Oracle or when you're making 3D Spider-Man movies, you're not spending even 4 seconds thinking about what to do with FOIA requests, but you figured this out. That's why, that's why the patrons are so key because you and I are able to do this stuff full time. This is our day job. And we couldn't do this without the people who support us as patrons over at Patreon and Subscribestar for me, Odyssey, and what do you have, Substack also? You've got Substack,
yes,
right?
Substack, Odyssey, all those things. But you're right.
But if people weren't supporting us, we couldn't do this stuff full time. You wouldn't have the bandwidth to be able to engage with the district attorney in Butler and be able to not just threaten a lawsuit, but be able to do it if you need to. Right. So we wouldn't have this kind of bandwidth if it wasn't for these patrons. So we're incredibly grateful to them because without them, this depth of research, like Mike Adams makes green little pills, right? He's got a whole pill factory. He's a busy guy.
Huge factory.
Huge place, right? He's got a day job. He's got to run an operation. He can only do so much in Audacity, right? He's got a business to run, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have a factory. I don't need pills. I'm busy doing this. You're busy figuring out how to do this PDF stuff. So how did we go from the Chuck Grassley blacked out version?
Well, right.
To
what did you end up with? Well,
all right. So what did you find?
So I don't want to go into too many details about what I did, but I did not fabricate any information. I did not synthesize any information. I just took the files that the police sent me and I opened them in commercial software. I didn't use any hacking tools. I don't know how to hack anything. I've said it many times. People have seen this show. I am an applications expert. I've been using computers since I was a little tiny kid and nobody knew what they were. I don't know how to program software. I don't know how to design FPGAs or hack into systems. But you show me an application that does something that I want to do, and I'll know everything about it and be able to make it do stuff that the guys who made it didn't realize it could do. And I've done it many times. Anyway, so they sent me this thumb drive, and I just noticed that certain things were different than the other releases that we've seen. Like we've got Butler body cams, and I need to go back to try to figure out how to get those. And then we've got Beaver ESU body cams. And remember, the first one released was Beaver ESU. So I think I know why the photographs were on that SWAT member's phone. And we'll talk about it with the sponsors in just 5 minutes. This is going to blow people's minds. It's like we've been peering through a keyhole, John. We've just opened a door and we're looking in the room. We know so much more about this now.
No, I mean, this is, again, when we're looking at this redacted content and everything is blacked out and we're guessing at, it's our tax dollars. We're paying for all this infrastructure, all the ATF, FBI, Secret Service, 30% of your income. has been going
Yeah.
to the federal government.
And
for
even when they
most
try
of
to kill
its
somebody,
life.
you can't know about it.
It's like, and what? We're not adults?
Right.
Dude, it's okay to treat the public that pays for all this infrastructure to treat us like we're 6 years old? That's okay? It's not.
No.
This is a government by the people, for the people. And they're kind of screwing it all up. It seems like the U.S. government has become sociopathic. It
Oh, yeah.
believes it's smarter than the body that it's governing, and it's not. And that's kind of what our job is to demonstrate that. It's like, no, you're not smarter than us, Chris Ray. We know what you did. We know how you did it last time, and we're going to figure this out this time. And this is how we do it. We do it the old-fashioned way. We do it with work,
Yes.
right? Some people think hacking is work. I think hacking is cheating.
It's
So
crime.
I'm not kind of into that. So it's like, if we can do it the good old-fashioned way, the gumshoe way, and then the crowdsourced way, dude, the content that we're getting from our audience, some of the people who are contributing and sharing the observations, and they're finding people in the audience, and they're like, dude, he's back here. He's like in row 17, seat Q. It's like, how are you finding these people? It's unbelievable what happens when we apply this crowdsource model, and then you take your expertise and apply it, and now this opportunity to get to see this unredacted information, this changes everything about the story.
It really
Everything. I
does.
mean, do you want to share with people right before we jump to the patron only
Well,
thing?
what I want to
or-
do is let's go through the redacted document and talk about what we
Okay.
have, and then our sponsors will be able to see the new information. So this is the release from Chuck Grassley's office that everybody can download, and it shows us the American Glass Research Building, the windows where the Beaver and Butler snipers were located, but we really don't know who was supposed to be in which window, looking where. We don't know who was assigned to these different things. That's all redacted. And we don't know who the sniper was in this secondary location. We got some other redacted document as well. This is not the after action report. This was that was just a supplemental. The after action from Chuck Grassley here. This is, sorry, I got the redacted one over here. Just share that really quickly. So, I mean, again, John, they send you this stuff, and it's like they're redacting all the really, truly meaningful facts that would tell you anything that an investigator wants to know. And they're basically, it's as you said, if you had a 6-year-old kid and they want an iPhone too, and you give them the broken one so they think they have an iPhone, but they actually can't do anything with it. So this is the after action report that was provided by Chuck Grassley's office. And we can see the timeline is redacted. We don't know who first observed the suspect. We don't know this vendor dispute by the main entrance. Is that somehow tied? Remember, we saw that video of him walking by the vendor row that seemed to be produced by a guy who had the same name as a police officer in California. And when I started asking him about that, he didn't want to talk about it. We don't know who any of these people are in the timeline.
So now what you're telling us is, so hang on, go back a sec. So when we go to the patron-only portion
all
of
of
the
this
show,
is revealed. All of it. The only thing that
spend a minute here. No, wait, go back to the Look at the one that's got no, next one, next page. Yes, this is
going to unlock.
Yes, this is who's where. This is who's in
doing
which
what?
window. Who calls
Absolutely.
Who
This is
sends
the biggest breakthrough in this investigation yet. And I put it out the other day and nobody said anything. So then I started looking at it more closely because I put it out right away thinking like, let's just get everybody looking at this and see what people can find. Nobody did a damn thing with it. Kind of like when I took that second track of the audio from the police dash cam. I thought people would go crazy researching that. Nobody did anything with it. So I started looking through it more. When I realized the information that was in there, I took down what I had previously posted, which was the full contents of the thumb drive. And the reason that I did that is it is extremely important that if anyone is able to figure out what I figured out, there are people out there who have the contents of this thumb drive that I uploaded when I got it. And if there's anybody who figures out how to unredact the material in the way that I did, I will not describe what I did to access this. But if anybody else figures it out, do not call these police officers and hassle them. Do not publish their personal cell phone numbers. That is why I took the thumb drive down. And if somebody wants a copy of the thumb drive, they can email me on truth@crowdsourcethetruth.org. Actually, I got a great idea. It's going to be available to sponsors of John on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen or patreon.com/IamJohnCullen. If you are a sponsor of John, you can email John. How do we do this? If you're a sponsor of John, email me. Yeah, email John, email me, whatever, and I will send you a copy of the thumb drive. But this thumb drive is not going to be released to anybody that I don't know and that is a real person, because I don't want somebody getting this and doing something to hassle the police and then say, oh, Jason did X, Y, or Z. So it's going to be only for sponsors either of John or Crowdsource the Truth, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Anybody who is a sponsor, send a direct message on any of the sponsorship channels and ask John or ask me. I'll get you a copy of the thumb drive for all the people out there who are saying, oh, Jason was so angry at Unsteady Dave for not giving his evidence because this is a murder investigation. Now Jason's doing the same thing wrong. Because Unsteady Dave was the only person in the world who had the original file on that phone. Anybody at all who thinks that information should be free can do what I did, get on the phone with the cops.
Evidence. This is an after-action report. This is from the police. This isn't evidence from the crime scene.
Correct.
So it's
other people have this. The government has this. Congress has this. The police have this. I'm not suppressing this evidence. I'm just all these people who think that John
You're
and I
protecting their private phone numbers. There's private phone numbers of people's cell phones. You're protecting
But for anyone
that.
who objects to the notion that we're doing this behind a paywall, or that there's some shows that we have that are free and some shows that we have where people need to pay either $5 a month or some very nominal fee, the reason we do that is because John and I spend all day, almost every day, working on this stuff. And even though people want information to be free, and it is, food is not free, living expenses are not free, so we super appreciate all the people who support the show. Anybody who is sufficiently interested in this investigation that they want this information that we're putting out there, if you don't think it's worth $5 a month, you're not that interested. So please join us if you aren't already a sponsor. Huge thank you to the people who are sponsors, or you could just wait until next week when this case is cracked open like a watermelon on the street and everybody else already knows about this. John, take us out with something pithy.
Again, this is game-changing information. What we're now going to understand is exactly who was where, what they did, who they contacted, and this is the information that somebody doesn't want the public to know because they're redacting it. And in the past, in other words, when Edward Snowden published the information about what was going on behind the scenes with the data capture stuff on email and SMS messages, they brought down the airplane of the president of Bulgaria because they thought Snowden was aboard.
You mean they made it land? They didn't crash it?
Yeah. No, they forced it to land, correct, with like 2 F-16s or something like that. And so they came and they said, bring the jet down. They thought he was on board, and I think it was the president of Bulgaria. It could be some other place. Not Bulgaria,
Hungary.
Bolivia. Was it Hungary? Yeah.
No, you're right, Bolivia, because he was doing South America stuff.
Yeah. So the extent to which they will go to in order to prevent this type of information from getting to the public is rather dramatic. I mean, you saw them carry Julian Assange out of the Ecuadorian embassy like an animal. Right? 7 guys carry him out. They put him into that Belmarsh prison for how many years?
4.
And then they say never mind.
Well, no, now they have a plea deal. He works for them.
But in other words, so he never got due process. right? It was all about will he or won't he get sent to the U.S. to see due process. That never actually happens. But they carried him out like an animal. They had him in solitary confinement for N years. And then he's out. And it's like, so what was that? What was that? And how many people, in other words, the extent of his reporting, of Julian Assange's reporting, it's dramatic. I think the biggest thing that he did was the thing with the 13 people that got killed from the gunship helicopters. I think the gunship helicopter footage was sort of the most dramatic thing that he
they hated
released
that.
as far as people dying, right? How many people died? And again, we're talking about something that I think a bigger section of people care about, which is the attempted assassination of a former president, than the murder of Reuters journalists in Iraq. Right. So, again, it's a sad story what happened. This whole gunship helicopter thing was a bit of a mess. They didn't want people to know about that at all. What we're exposing here is potentially JFK type complicity in an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And, so if we find out tomorrow that the U.S. government attempted to bring down Benjamin Netanyahu's plane because they thought you were on board, I won't be surprised.
I am not riding with Netanyahu. I'm not on that
what
plane.
I'm saying.
I got nothing to do with that.
That's why I brought it up. So
yeah,
I'm not flying with anybody. So if you hear that, I'm not taking
One last thing before we go. Now, elements of this I have released on X, and people can follow John and I. We should promote X because that's been a lot of good activity on X. If you're not already following on X, people can get me there at JG_CSTT. You can see me getting surveilled by Tren de Aragua outside the Walcott Hotel the other day, set up probably to get killed by the cops. And also people should follow John. He's there at I_am_John Cullen. John has been posting tons of stuff, evidence and findings. Oh yeah. We're not yet ready to talk about the drone and the drone operator, but we've learned things from this release. We're not going to get into that part of the release today. We're just going to deal with the after action report. But John, there's just so much stuff that's been revealed in this release. And this page right here is perhaps the biggest and most dramatic release. Because remember, in the Grassley release, we just had no idea what this was. This tells us so much more about the deception. People really don't want to miss what we're about to cover here. If you are remotely interested in this Donald Trump assassination attempt and the ongoing investigation to figure out exactly who was behind it and what was going on, you can't miss this. Become a sponsor right now. Sponsor John on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen or patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, and sponsor Crowdsource the Truth on odyssey.com/@CrowdsourceTheTruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We'll be right back. You better strap in because this is maybe the biggest thing I've ever reported on.
Yeah, 60 Minutes has got nothing on this, kids.